Annandale. I remember you taking the search, looking at different counties, even different parts of the D.C. metropolitan area, and then deciding to settle in Annandale from Fairfax County.
Yes, that's the time when I knew I was going to take a job in, and not Annandale, Northern Virginia, and we're looking for a place to live. So I put a compass on the school I was going to teach in, and then it rolled around and see if we could find a place to live within this compass. That's how we did. That's how we wound up in Annandale.
Yeah, you wound up in Annandale. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Annandale years were good. They were very good. Yeah.
Yeah. So you lived in Annandale we were moved there 1968, and you left there to come here to Roanoke in 1995.
Yes.
So you were there almost 27 years in Annandale.
Yeah. So big changes. Yes. Yeah. The little place we moved into the first time was really a nice little place. It was like it was a townhouse. It was really what it was, a townhouse. And it was very nice there. And let's see, but it was speculative property, meaning it changed hands several times, several owners. And finally when they decided they were going to make condominiums out of it, I didn't like what was going on. There was something strange going on about the way they were handling the finances of it. And I didn't want to live there anymore at that place because I knew afterwards that I think by the time they closed the deal, all the people were required to pay a couple $1,000s to get the sewer line straightened out. So we got out just in time. And then we went over to Whitney Street.
Yeah, right, Parliament Village. Yeah, that's. And you and I had graduated from Annandale by the time before we moved to Parliament Village.
Yes.
But you moved to Parliament Village after Regina after Regina graduated from Annandale, and went off to college at Radford.
Yes.
And so it was like roughly about 7 years in Forest Glen Court, and then the balance, the remaining 20 years at Parliament Village.
Yes, and they had a swimming pool, and I never got my toes wet. I never went into the swimming pool there.
And that was one of the nicest things about living in Parliament Village, that swimming pool. It was really, really a nice pool.
Had you gone into it? Had you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I went to the pool frequently.
Never went there. Never went there. Didn't appeal to me at all. Yeah.
But it's kind of. Did you ever? I don't remember. I mean, did you ever go into Annandale High School to see what the high school was like? Did you?
Oh yes, I mean, oh yes, I knew what the high school was like. You know, But I know I can always tell you this: that when you were playing football, I would never go to the football games because they always landed on the bottom of the pile, and I didn't want to go. I have to go to the hospital in the ambulance with them, so I didn't want to go to those football games at all. And they were loud. You remember, John, too, how loud they were. You could hear the whole football game going on around the neighborhood. Oh my! But I think Annandale years were good for you too.
I think they were very good. They're very important because it's up to that point, Regina and I pretty much had changed schools every year.
That's right. Yeah.
And then, but when we landed in Annandale, I went for the 4 years in high school there at Annandale, and Regina also went to 4 years.
Yeah, so, that's right. Do you remember the incident about the battery?
About the battery?
In the car.
Oh, no, you have to tell me. Remind me on that one.
We had a car. Let me see. It was a Dodge Dart.
Right.
And it was yellow, and I had just gotten it. And you decided that you wanted to drive it to school one day. So I did let you go. I think it was a big thing with you. You had to drive the car to school that day, even though we could walk to school. So you parked in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then you went to school, and when you came out, the car wouldn't start. And you called me and said the car wouldn't start. I said, well, what's wrong with it? You said, I don't know. I said, well, did you lift the hood? No. Well, lift the hood and find out. Someone had stolen the battery. The guys in the technological department, or the shop
students had stolen the battery.
They came out and they stole the battery.
Well, that's nice of them.
So we had to get a new battery to get you home. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
I do. do. I do. First time you took the car to school.
I think I might have blanked that from my memory.
Right. Yeah. But Annandale was good school for you and good for Gina too.
Yeah, John and I have talked a little bit about Annandale. They had a pretty remarkable faculty back then in the early '70s. A lot of good people, a lot of good teachers that were there.
Right.
And I think some of which you met later on. Some people you met in teaching circles.
Right. And you had your guidance counselor wasn't as good as Gina's.
Yeah,
Gina's
right.
Guidance counselor was much better. Yeah.
Yeah,
but you survived.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I was pretty much at home at George Mason. From when I went to George Mason, I stayed at home with you. There was only one semester I went out on my own.
Yeah.
And but I don't know if you remember. Did you ever come out to George Mason? Did you ever see the campus?
Oh yes, yes, and we went back, with Justin to see whether or not he'd be interested in it. It was tremendous change, and they were still doing construction then too. But he figured it was too far away, not really what he wanted, so he decided he wouldn't consider it.
Yeah. Do you remember? I remember from Annandale. I remember the graduation at Wolf Trap. When Jim Vance was the speaker, he's still, I understand, is still alive and kicking.
Is he really?
In D.C. Yeah.
Wow, great.
But it was kind of remember that. And then they've stopped doing the graduations. They don't do the graduations anymore at Wolf Trap.
Yeah, I remember that they stopped it. That's right. But I don't remember why.
I don't remember why either. I don't know. Whatever.
There was a reason I knew. But I don't remember what it was, why they did that. Yeah.
I think Regina also graduated from Wolf Trap, if I'm not mistaken. Was 75 also graduated from there?
I think maybe hers might have been the last class if there was one at all. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So when you tell me about when you moved from Annandale to Roanoke, of course you moved here to be with Regina and her family. How different?
Very different. I was kind of glad to leave Annandale because it was getting more ethnic, and in the place where I lived, I think there were maybe 12 apartments in that building, and I'm sure 10 of them were ethnic people.
It was more transient. There was more transient folks.
And there were times when I was the only American in the building, so I didn't feel too comfortable there. I was glad to go after a while, and. Come down here, yes, to help Gina with the kids. That's right, yeah. And
you bought this place, which you didn't. You found it pretty quickly, as I remember.
That's what I came here.
Yeah,
I bought it here. Yes, I came here, and that's the reason why I came down here, that I could get a place like this, And it was in a nice place. It was in a senior area,
right?
And it was a pretty place, and it was reasonable, something I could manage. And it was not too much in the city, but not in the country. It was just right. Yeah, liked it. And then when Regina moved to Lynchburg, it was only about an hour away.
Right.
So that was fairly simple to drive. Yeah.
Yeah. Regina had a couple moves she was a year, I think, a couple of years in South Carolina. She was in Rocky Mount for a year. But the whole time I think the whole time you had stayed.
In touch.
In Roanoke, yeah.
Yeah, and then she got married here in Roanoke.
Right,
yeah, and,
the church down the hill.
The church down the hill, right. Yeah. And she worked here in Roanoke for a while. And then being downsized, she had to move to Lynchburg. And then she got downsized there, too. But she stayed there because the kids had already got started at school. And they had their friends. And by the time it came for her, and she signed a lease on the apartment too. It was a year's lease, so she was kind of stuck there,
So you're very comfortable here. You've been here almost 20 years now, from 1995 to the present. So
yes, I think it's actually 18 years. Yeah, yes.
And it's been comfortable. You have nice neighbors here.
Yeah, but it's almost more like a bed and breakfast for me because I kept running back and forth to. Lynchburg to help Gina, because at that time she became a single parent, and with 2 kids, it does really take a village, to raise kids. So she needed a lot of help, and I was glad to help her to do it too. Yeah. we've got 2 great grandkids.
You do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great.
It's time? Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Sorry.